All right, so Bill Maher had another extremely Bill Maher moment. He was on his show this past weekend, and he went after Biden for not going after both sides. So he wants Biden to be more aggressive in going after both sides. Let's watch and we'll break it down.
There are lies on the Democratic side, too, sometimes. If you think about what are the traits that we don't want to see, then look to yourself and anybody's faction. I'm libertarian with a small L. It's a small little faction. People on that team, too, can engage in this and call it out. There's a lot of election denial in the Democratic Party, depending on if you lose. Stacey Abrams was not a gracious loser in the Georgia race.
What's the difference? What's the difference? What's the difference between election denial on the right and the left? The difference is, usually on the left, when there's objections, it's based on something factual. That's point number one. Point number two is, we eventually let it go. Right? We don't storm the Capitol over it. By the way, in 2000, that election was stolen. When they counted the ballots after the election, any way you counted it, dimpled chads, hanging chads, etc., Al Gore won. He won. He had the most votes. So, now, did we storm the Capitol? Did Al Gore spend the next year saying, install me as president immediately or redo the election? No, he didn't. He didn't do that. That didn't happen. So, there are key differences here that you are overlooking. Now, to be fair, Maher's gonna hold him accountable on this specific point, but then he goes on to make a questionable one.
Years ago, and she's revered as a hero on the left, largely. There's a lot of political violence in this country on the left. It's not the same. But it's worth talking about if those values matter to you. You work back from the value.
I don't know why a smart guy like you would go there. Honestly. And I, as a big fan of you.
That's fine.
I just think there's so many other things. And you're right, too. It is false equivalence. The Republicans are more dangerous. But again, do you want to win or do you want to win points?
Yeah, but
and then to your point, like, please, Al Gore conceded the election.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton got in her purple suit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just the worst one to fight that on. Maybe Stacey Abrams wasn't as gracious as she should have been. Yeah. That issue is Republicans own that issue of election denial. Let's fight, and Democrats have to own of other crazy shit where, you know, a bodega guy gets attacked and then he's brought up on charges because he fought back. Yeah. Go to war on that. This bakery in Portland that I saw.
He's talking about like a local news story that national Democrats probably didn't comment on and didn't even know about. But the implication here is, okay, Republicans get to own the craziness on stealing elections, but the left has to own the craziness on the issue of crime. Wait. I don't understand this argument at all. No elected Democratic politician at the national level is out there like, I'd like to actively be soft on crime. I'm pro-criminal. That's what I am. Nobody says that. Do more Democrats want to legalize marijuana, free the nonviolent drug offenders, get rid of the sentencing disparities? Absolutely. But they're right about those things. Nobody's like, let's, when it comes to really serious crimes like robbery, when it comes to really serious crimes like murder and assault, I'm gonna run on the position of free the violent criminals. Nobody does that. So what are you saying? What is this point? So he says, okay, the Republicans are more dangerous, but then he makes this argument as if like, but let's talk about the areas where the Democrats are crazy. And here's an issue where national Democrats haven't said a goddamn word and probably don't even know about that story of some bodega owner who got brought up on charges because he did self-defense or whatever the fuck.
So won a big suit this week because they were accused of racism when they won, I think, $135 million from Oberlin College. Just pick out something. There's something every day that Biden could have picked out and said, and my side has gone too far on this. And yes, it wouldn't be equivalent, but the country could then, the people in the middle and the people who don't want to feel like you're just attacking my team would be like, yes, finally. And then he could not have to run again.
Okay, You're talking about Joe Biden, Bill Maher. Joe Biden just did a speech the other day saying, let's increase the number of police in the country by 100,000. And also, the answer isn't defund the police, it's fund the police. So in other words, he's doing the exact thing that Maher says he should do. Joe, why don't you say, there's some issues where my side is crazy and I'm against my crazy side on it? Well, that's him doing exactly what you said you want him to do. He thinks the defund the police stuff is crazy, and so he says, let's fund the police. So your commentary should be, man, Joe Biden really is doing exactly what I would like him to do. But he doesn't do it. He finds a way to attack him. And by the way, just this notion that, the least woke man on the planet is somehow responsible for all of the wokeness because he's on the same side as the wokeness. This is the guy who wrote the fucking crime bill, bro. His problem is he's too tough on crime. That's the honest problem when he was locking up nonviolent drug offenders. So what is this argument? Oh my God, it's so frustrating. It's so annoying. Yeah, why don't Democrats come out and attack other left extreme ideas as opposed to I don't know, focusing on the fact that the former Republican president is literally saying reinstate me as president or redo the election. Yeah, it seems like we got bigger fish to fry, Bill. We can have our internal dialogue and disagreement, and Lord knows there's areas where, me and the left clash, of course. But as if that would change anything, Biden being no, I'm moderate. We know you're moderate. We know you're moderate. We know that. That's very clear. That's very obvious. But somehow now he gets lumped in with people who are not Joe Biden, and Bill Maher wants him to, spend time finger wagging at the left. And also, by the way, I have to make this point because I feel like it's super important. They always have the most caricatured view of what the far left is. They hook, line, and sinker. They fall for whatever the right-wing portrayal of the so-called far left is. And it's so frustrating.
I think we all wait a minute in that case.
Hold on. The extremists on the left, they want to fire some of my colleagues for making hapless remarks. They want to try and seize social status by acting more virtuous than they are in their everyday lives, and it's obnoxious, and it's out of touch. But election denial, wanting to move towards a white Christian nationalist nation, that's just fucking out of control.
It is.
I think that's a great point. I do. Yeah, there are areas where I disagree with the left, and I go after the left. But there's just, everything's so out of whack and so out of perspective in the conversation. Jesus Christ. Can we have a little perspective in this shit? I think George W. Bush was probably the worst president of my lifetime. Maybe it's a tie between him and Donald Trump, but this modern Republican Party, the direction that they're going, the direction that the Republican politicians are going with Trump as their figurehead is marching in a more extremist direction than even I've ever seen in my lifetime. He's eclipsing George W. Bush because the overt, over-the-top denial of elections and the positioning of key people in states to potentially overturn the next election. The full-on, totally drunk on the Kool-Aid, QAnon goofballs are a genuine and sincere threat to the future of even the facade of democratic elections. I mean, a majority of Americans have at least one election denier on the ballot. That's a really serious thing. That's a really serious thing. And Maher wants Biden to go out there and say, there was a local news story the other day, and I side with the bodega owner. The fuck are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about?
I'm not arguing with you.
So, one is a dumpster fire. One is a dumpster fire. The other is a nuclear mushroom cloud that threatens all of us.
Okay, but the people who populate this country aren't watching you or this show right now and just don't appreciate that difference. And you got to win.
I see. Maher seems to think the path to victory is just beating up on the far left. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like to me. But I don't know how you can make this argument when Joe Biden is already doing the thing that you say you want him to do. So shouldn't you just be giving him credit? Shouldn't you just be arguing for him? Full stop. I don't know. Maher's lost the plot quite a bit. And if your main point is Biden doesn't call out both sides enough, I don't know what Joe Biden you're looking at. All right, guys, that is the show. That is the show. I love y'all very much. Everybody, check out the Kyle Kulinski Show on any of the major podcasting apps. I like to listen every now and then on Spotify, and I think it's cool to have it out there in a new format. So for those of you who are podcasting people, more so than YouTube video people, go check out the show. It's over there. Love y'all. And a massive thank you, of course, to everybody who supports Secular Talk, the Kyle Kulinski Show on Patreon. You guys make the show work. And thank you to everybody who supports Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. Again, super proud of the fact that I've never had a conversation with an advertiser in over a decade of doing the show, whether it's this show or, of course, more recently, Crystal Kyle and Friends. You guys make that possible. I love you deeply. And yeah, I mean, look, I guess I could bring up real quick at the end of the show the news that we dropped over the weekend, which is that Crystal and I are indeed engaged. So your man is going to be a stepdad now. And I got to be honest with y'all, I am one badass stepdad. I'm already coaching the soccer team. Well, to be fair, I'm the assistant coach, but oftentimes the head coach isn't there, and then I have to fill in and be the head coach. Teaching 9-year-old soccer, dog, I get way too into it. I mean, I got to reel myself in a little bit. Sometimes I'm yelling a little too much from the sidelines. Sometimes I get a little too mad at the referee. Sometimes I get a little bit extreme. But you know what? It's all fun and games. It's all love. And I consider myself a very fortunate and lucky man to be with somebody as wonderful and beautiful as Crystal. And I don't want to get too sappy on y'all at the end of the show here, but I guess I figured I should probably touch on the topic since, we tweeted, the verification for everybody the other day. And by the way, a huge thank you to everybody who gave such, sweet replies to that. You guys know me. I try to avoid ever looking at the Twitter comments and stuff like that because I tend to have some pretty soft fifis if I don't say so myself. But Crystal was taking a look at a lot of the replies, whether it's on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. And she was saying that, the overwhelming majority of them are positive, and she was shouting out names of people who were really sweet. So it's very touching at a time when, everything is so fucking divided and fractured and there's so much hate and vitriol on the internet. It's really nice that, you put out something that's really, you're wearing your heart on your sleeve and really opening up to everybody and giving them a peek inside, your personal life and everything. And it's nothing but an outpouring of support and affection. And I just want you all to know that means a lot to me. That means the world to me. And, I won't forget that. I definitely won't forget that. So anyway, I love y'all. I'll talk to you soon. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Peace. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.